Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing another traditional draft of Tarkir Dragonstorm. Without further ado, let's get into our pack one pick one with a few pretty sweet options here. I think the best picks are a couple of these really powerful three-color cards, the Fangkeeper's Familiar, the Jeskai Shrinekeeper, but also the Stormplane Detainment as the strongest mono-colored card to leave us a bit open here. I do think these multicolored cards are strong enough, though, to justify taking over the removal spell, and I'm going to go for the Fangkeeper's Familiar, just a pretty cool rare, get less opportunities to play with it than Shrinekeeper. I think these are both pretty comparable in power level. This is a really nice 2-for-1 when you cast and counter an opposing creature, whereas the Shrinekeeper can be really nice 2-for-1 when it connects, hits your opponent, draws you an extra card. Now, if it sticks, wow. I was going to say, if it sticks around and you manage to get multiple hits off with it, the Shrinekeeper can play better than the Fangkeeper's Familiar, but the Fangkeeper's Familiar just a tiny bit more consistent at getting that initial value. All it needs to do for that is to enter, and it's going to do something pretty good, even if they removal spell it immediately. Pick 2 is a really easy pick. I mean, we started with a Sultai rare, now we get to take a Sultai mythic. 8 mana is a lot, but in the Tarkir Dragonstorm format, it's not that difficult to get to 8 mana. There's really only one deck that you're going to play against where you can't expect to reach 8 mana consistently, and that is the Boros aggro builds, the Mardu aggro, anything in that kind of variety. Anything else, if you've got just a little bit of ramp, just a little bit of mana fixing, you can pretty consistently get to this card. It's a pretty slow format with a lot of 4 and 5 color splashy decks that are dirtling around with their mana in their early game rather than putting a ton of threats onto the board. So you can reasonably make it to 8 mana, and if you do, Death Begets Life can almost always win you the game if it resolves. Pick 3, very, very excellent pack once again. 2 really premium cards for us. The Sagu Wildling for excellent fixing. It's also a solid body at 5 mana to help stabilize a little bit. Gaining you some life when it enters is a huge deal. But I think the Sibsig Appraiser, just making your deck more consistent, being able to dig a little bit, do a little bit of card draw is really, really, really premium. So I'm going to go for Sibsig Appraiser over the Sagu Wildling here. Worth mentioning, Shocking Sharpshooter is a fantastic card for the aggro decks, albeit that is in the complete different direction from what we're doing right now. So it's not worth considering as a pick with everything we've taken so far. Just a very strong card if you wanted to be on the aggressive strategies. Pick 4, relatively easy Teamer Monument. The only real competition here is the Feral Deathgorger. If we could get a bunch of cards that care about having dragons, like all of the Exhales, as well as the Dragonstorm Globe and stuff, then this card does go up quite a bit in value. At face value, it's not the greatest ever. You do want some amount of dragon synergy for it. I'd rather take the Teamer Monument in case we open up any powerful red rares or mythics. This will help splash them in, and even if we're a base Sultai deck, with the Teamer Monument in here, all we need to do is add a single mountain, and this will fix and splash itself into the deck. Pick number 5. Pretty mediocre pack here. I don't think there's anything good for any deck in this pack. Might speculate on Blossoming Sands. Trade Route Envoy can technically maybe do some decent stuff in Sultai, but with 2 really powerful 3-color rares and a Teamer Monument now, I think we're more likely to be the very late game oriented kind of 4 or 5 color strategy where just like a 4 mana 5/4 is not that impressive. The Blossoming Sands could be genuinely quite helpful. Yeah, mediocre pack overall. I'll just take the Blossoming Sands. Pick number 6 now. Earthcarver is a decent way to stabilize. My issue with Earthcarver is that in a lot of the decks that it ends up in, the green decks, you're playing so many colors, you're going to have so much stronger top end like Death Begets Life. There's a channeled Dragonfire if we play red as a core color. Say we go Teamer and splash the black instead. This is a good way to slow down those Mardu decks. 2 removal spells off the 1 card. Really only 1 removal spell early, but once you hit that late game, it's a little bit extra to help stabilize. I like the Dragonfire here. Kishla Village is also fine. If you're flooding out, you get some Surveils there. Help prevent that. Pick number 7, there's a Dragonstorm Globe. I don't mind that at all. There's not a whole lot else going on in this pack. The Ice Ridge Serpent is fine. Bloodfell Caves is fine. But I like the Dragonstorm Globe here. Pick number 8, there's an Unending Whisper, which is decent if we want to flurry often. It's okay value just in general. There's also Boulderborn Dragon. Goes up a lot in value when you have the Exhales that care about having dragons in your deck, and the Dragonstorm Globe that helps it actually be a decent threat. A Sarah Angel that's surveilled every turn. I'm gonna go Boulderborn here. And this also makes it so that if we manage to pick up a Dragonstorm Forecaster, which is an uncommon, that will be really good in this deck because we already have one Dragonstorm Globe that it can tutor and one Boulderborn Dragon it can tutor. Pick number 10, Bloodfell Caves, pretty easy. Well, Riverwalk Technique is not bad at all, but we are a mix between Sultai and Temur here, which means we're likely to have black and red in the deck. So right now we're currently 4 colors, every color but white. Blue-black duel is definitely helpful. Night Watch is pretty solid at setting up your draws. It's basically a Surveil 4 when it enters. You look at the top 3. If there's one that you want, you keep that on the top and put the rest into the grave. But if you don't want any of them... Well, I guess it's a Surveil 3, not a Surveil 4. Because if you don't want any of those 3, then you mill the 3 and draw the 4th, which is the same that happens if you just Surveil 4. Alright, Tarkir Dragonstorm continues to be a format of absolute haymaker bombs. Very, very princey format where the rares and the mythics are what matters a whole ton for basically every deck except Boros aggro, so it's really nice to open up one of the strongest rares in the entire set with the Meringue River Regent, just an auto include. Don't even really need to look at the rest of that pack. Pack 2, pick 2, Molten Exhale is a great cheap removal spell, something we need a lot of copies of to stay defended in the early game in a slower deck like this, so I'm going to take that over a decent creature like Sagu Pummeler or a piece of fixing Swiftwater Cliffs. Spectral Denial is not bad, though. Molten Exhale is certainly better against the more aggressive decks. Spectral Denial better in the mirror matches, which is going to be like at least half the time. Most of the set is 4 or 5 color good stuff. So, bit coin flippy here between Denial and Exhale. They're going to be better in different matchups. I'm going to take the Molten Exhale. Pick number 3, Opulent Palace looks pretty great. Dispelling Exhale is pretty excellent. This one's actually cheap enough to be relevant against more aggressive decks, while also being incredible in the mirror match against the slow grindy decks. I like the Dispelling Exhale. Road Watcher is a powerful rare, but it loses a lot of its power in a 4 or 5 color deck like this because you're just not running a lot of mana value 3 or less creatures in the deck, so it's not really a good splash for 4 or 5 color. I'm going to grab Dispelling Exhale here. Pick number 4. Green, black, and 2 removal spells, not a horrible deal. Could be that. I think it's really just that or the Thornwood Falls out of this pack. I've got Globe, Monument, Devotee, couple duels. I'm pretty high on Kintree Severance though, and we've gotten some duels pretty late last pack. So I think we should be able to do so again here. There's the Dragonstorm Forecaster to tutor out our Dragonstorm Globe and Boulderborn Dragon consistently. Excellent pickup here. The only competition is Jungle Hollow. Pick 6, here's a Durgar Island Dragon that helps out our Dispelling Exhale, our Molten Exhale, our Dragonstorm Globe. Those are all going to be better now. Temur Tawnyback, not bad either. Not super high on Defibrillating Current here with where our mana is lined up. Try to do it for red, black, and 2, but red or black is going to be like a real splash here. I think we're trying to be green and blue at the core. I guess I'm not that deep into green. I think the mana is going to be pretty awkward on Defibrillating Current. Pick 7, Not a good Equilibrium Adept deck. Perfectly fine Tawny back deck, though. Tawny back or Dismal Backwater looking like the solid picks here. Scar is just solid. It is a large stat line out on the board, and it gives you some card selection, drawing a card and discarding a card, digging more towards what you need, which is pretty important in a lot of decks. But definitely these slow ones. I'm going to go Tawny back on this. Stormshriek Feral is fine. Put the Globe in the Exhales. Do I like it better than Earthcarver? I think I do. I think we've got enough Dragon Synergy. Moving into pack 3, if we get just like 1 or 2 more cards that care about dragons, then I'll be happier with the Feral, and I think that's likely with a whole other pack to choose from after this. Wield the Spectral Denial. Feels good. I was considering taking it over Molten Exhale earlier, so I'm really happy to have both. 11 Ice Ridge Serpent. Here's a Veteran Ice Climber just for an early blocker that we know we can cast consistently. Blue is definitely the most well-represented color in this deck. And pack 3, what do we open up? We did open up a Teamer Rare. Songcrafter Mage. That said, it is not incredible in here. So we can flash back something from our grave the turn that we cast that. I guess the pack is weak enough, I probably still take it. It's between that, a mediocre removal spell like Overwhelming Surge, or fixing like Thorn Falls, maybe a Tawny back. I think I still take it here, but I'm not currently convinced we're going to use it well. You want a lot of these cheap 2-mana instants and sorceries. We've got 1, 2, 3. That would be pretty reasonable to recast. Dragonfire, I guess, would be fine too, because then we can recast it for just 1 instead of recasting it for 7. But then I'm recasting something that already has a built-in way to recast itself, so not actually that excited about that Songcrafter Mage. And pack 3 pick 2 looks like a complete miss of a pack. I guess we got a second Boulderborn. That's not bad with the Forecaster. So at least there's that, but the rest of this package is not good. For 5 color. There's like an okay card for an aggressive white deck, an okay card for an aggressive green deck. Not a lot going on there. Pick number 3. Rugged Highlands looks fine. Dragonstorm Globe looks exceptional. Fixes us even more, and we've got a lot of dragons in here now. Yeah, Dragonstorm Globe is very, very important for this deck. And that's another card for Forecaster as well. Roiling Dragonstorm, incredible, with a decent dragon count, like 5 or more, and we've got that. This is 2 mana, draw 2, discard a card, but you get to keep recasting it every time you play a dragon. So really, really deep card draw. Pick 5. I like a fresh start here, gets the more cheap removal. Although Molten Exhale, I think in a vacuum I like fresh start better than Molten Exhale, but I have a lot of dragons in here to make the Exhale instant speed as well, and in order to maybe actually use Songcrafter Mage, Molten Exhale would be better. Although I am still on Team Cut the Songcrafter Mage. I'm still going to go Molten Exhale here. Okay, now another Dispelling Exhale is awesome. Ireni's Rebuff is also pretty good. A double bounce, slow them down. But Dispelling Exhale is just phenomenal in the mirror match. When your opponent tries to resolve their 8 mana bomb, you just counter it, win from there. And again, since it's only a 2 mana counter spell, it is relevant against more aggressive decks too. Draw 3, discard 1 from Focus the Mind. Pretty good card draw, card selection there. Dig for our bombs. We get a rebuff now, pick 8. We're skipping that other one. Not bad at all. I could take Strike Master too, but currently basically all of our red spells are late game cards. Not like super late game, but we can wait till we like play a Globe or something and then use these as a removal. We don't have any that we like kind of have to play on turn 2 like we do a Strike Master. Pick 9. Devotee. Pick 10. I'm not playing Artisan in any world, so I'm just going to rare draft an uncommon. Pick 11. We could play Teamer Devotee. I would not be very excited about it, but probably more than Riverwheel Sweep. Okay, I guess we'll play both. Yeah, this doesn't seem super good in this deck, because obviously if you exile one of our really high mana value cards, it's just going to be stranded forever. And this is going to be 4 mana, we're basically never going to have the white mana for it. Reclamation for the sideboard doesn't seem awful. I probably should have done some sideboard picks earlier. I was kind of still drafting in Premier Draft mode, best of one mode. Totally forgot that that sideboards are absolutely relevant here, as this is a traditional draft today. How do we want to build this? Focus up on dragons here at the top end. Cut serpents, maybe the Songcrafter Mage. Sweep is just bad with a bunch of high mana value cards. Night Watch is a little filler. Devotee and Ice Climber are also a little bit filler. Normally I would want to keep them in to have more early blockers, but I've got a lot of early interaction between double Exhale, Dragonfire, double Dispelling Exhale, and Rebuff. Could side them back in against more aggressive decks, potentially. I do have to cut 8 cards here, so it is difficult to keep all these decent filler cards in. I think we just dropped them all. Still 2 more cards to cut. I think Stormshriek Feral is our worst dragon. We cut one of those. How are we doing on card draw and card selection without the Focus the Mind that's dedicated to exclusively that? We still have the Roiling Dragonstorm. The Forecaster can draw quite a few cards. They're specific cards, but they are valuable ones. The Teamer Monument puts us up a card by picking up a land. The Tawny Bat gives us card selection. The Appraiser puts us up a card. I think there's enough incremental card draw and stuff to not need specifically a Focus the Mind in here. Especially because I do have Coil and Catch as well. I mean, just 4 mana instant Focus the Mind. And then still shuffle the Regent back in the deck to draw later. And then Death Begets Life also draws a million at the end of our curve. Yeah, I'm going to cut these 2. I'll try the Songcrafter Mage out, but not super sure how good it's going to be. Just 4 Exhales. I mean, 4 Exhales, a Denial, and a Dragonfire, those are all fine. Preferably, again, not flashing back something that already has flashback, but would still work to let us do it for only 1 instead of 7, so there's some value there. Maybe we'll have the weirdest game in the world that goes super long. We get to flashback Death Begets Life. But if that happens, then I imagine we're going to mill out if I've cast that spell twice. It would be funny, though. Alright, let's check our mana base here and make sure that we've got good amounts of each color, or at least as good as possible. Blue is definitely the most important color. We do have 13 blue cards. We've got 8 blue sources. Second most important color is green, because I have 6 green cards. It's more than anything else. And Sultai Devotee that can help fix the black or blue if I hit green. So 8, and then we have 4. I'd like to go 5 if I can, if I have room. And then red is next at 5 cards. Pretty important, so still 4 red sources I think feels good. Yep. So I have 4 red sources and a Teamer Monument, 5 green sources and a Teamer Monument, 8 blue sources and a Teamer Monument. That feels excellent. I've got 2 black spells that require black mana, and only one other one, and that one I can also pay hybrid mana on. So I think I don't need a swamp in here, especially in a deck that has no way to tutor out a basic land anyway. We can rely on our 4 other black sources, our Backwater, Bloodfell Caves, and double Dragonstorm Globe. Technically 5, because also the Devotee, if that doesn't get killed. Yeah, there's only 1 black spell that I would ever need before 8 mana, and that's Fangkeeper's Familiar, which is still really strong if it takes a while to hit black. Yeah, I'm going to cut that black source to put in a 5th green from where Arena had the mana base. But I think we'll lock it in like that, call it a deck here, hop into the gameplay, and see how it does. Here we are on the play for game 1, and that is a traditional draft classic, no hand smoothers, so once in a blue moon, you get the 0-lander. Absolute definition of a forced mulligan. We have to start this game down a card. Now, this is a pretty solid 6-card hand, though. My big issue is I really want to keep this 8-drop, which leaves me with just 1 piece of interaction because I need all the mana towards it. Oh man, I don't think I have enough ways to shuffle in this deck to ditch Death Begets Life and expect to draw it this game. But I do have other win conditions like the River Regent, Dragon Spam with Dragonstorm Globes. I'm probably supposed to ditch Death Begets Life, but I hate that. I wish this were game 2. If I knew if I was playing against 5-color or like Boros or something, I could make a much more well-disciplined decision on this hand. Like against 5-color, you keep Death Begets Life and just get rid of Rebuff or something. But against Boros, you get rid of Death Begets Life here. Or maybe even the Globe. No information. I'm gonna ditch Rebuff here. We don't have the blue till like turn 4 anyway. They start with a Boros land. That is a little concerning, but we'll see. Okay, Jeskai, Fortress Kingguard. They are playing to the board early. Get a 1/2 and a 1/1 here. Sig Appraiser. Not a bad draw, but not castable just yet. Alright, so looks like, most likely, a streamlined, just pure Jeskai deck here. Got counter mana up here. Suppose I'd rather have the Globe get countered than the Appraiser. Kind of sad either way, but the Appraiser's like I get a 2/1 on board plus draw land. Out of the top 2. We're at 5 out of 8 mana already for Death Begets Life, so don't have to stall this game out too much longer. Okay, Narset doesn't matter for a while. They may discard their hand and then draw equal to the number of cards in... Or no, equal to the number of spells they've cast this turn. So until they've like emptied their hand, Narset doesn't matter, and if they empty their hand, then our Death Begets Life gets better. Okay. Can Appraiser and then still have Dragon later? I could Molten Exhale the Narsets. I probably do need to do that. Despite having the Death Begets Life, we don't know if we're going to hit this mana. Like, you see, I missed the land drop again. So we need to rely on Appraiser plus Dragon to draw into it. We might miss a land drop or 2, and it'll take quite a while to get to Death Begets Life if we do. Now I've got a Songcrafter Mage to recast our Molten Exhale, which seems absolutely phenomenal. If we delay things long enough, this may even be the game we get to Songcrafter Mage a Death Begets Life, which would be hilarious. Okay, I think I need to draw the card badly enough to just stop 1 damage and draw the card here. So if I don't do it now, I'm just going to draw the card without tapping anybody anyway. Boulderborn Dragon. Perfect mana for that, but I imagine we're going to get counterspelled here. But that pulls the counterspell out of their hand, so it can't hit the Death Begets Life later. No counter. Okay, removal spell then. Because that's a 5/5 Vigilance. Pretty hard to attack through that. Sure, fresh start. Still a 0/5 on the ground. That is very relevant here. Just slowing the game down. Because it sticks on the board, I get to draw a card off that as well. I'm only one land draw away from Death Begets Life, and I have the Songcrafter Mage to cast it again just immediately afterward. That said, we did not draw the mana. Just hold up the Exhale and Songcrafter Mage then. Take a pretty significant hit in the sky, which I'm not happy about. I could Songcrafter for Molten Exhale. I don't think that'd be crazy. And then exhale the Dawnbreaker. Then I know I can't Songcrafter the Death Begets Life, though. Like, this pays for the Harmonize, right? It pays for itself. So 3 mana, and then the Harmonize would be I can pay 3 off of the Death Begets Life, so I can definitely double Death Begets Life if I hold on to this. I'll be a little greedy. Okay. A whole bunch of mana up. 2 cards in hand. Now I'm concerned they just have the counterspell for Death Begets Life. In which case I can still try to do it twice, but it's a pretty rough turn next turn. Okay, if I don't hit the land anyway, then now we're all in on Songcrafter Molten Exhale. 2 lands, please. Oh my god, okay, that's really bad. Dragonfire has Harmonize, but I can also just cast it twice if I keep it in hand. I'm gonna get rid of Sultai Devotee and pass. We have to Songcrafter at this point. No double Death Begets Life for sure. Okay. Okay. Maybe they just haven't had a counterspell the whole time. Be wild. Oh my god, we don't even need the Death Begets Life? Alright. When it's obviously not worth spending 8 mana to kill my 3/2 and their 1/1. I'm going to soak up 4 of their mana here and hope their second spell costs too much to duplicate then at that point. If it costs more than 2, they can't do it now. Wow. Alright. Punished. It was exactly a 2-drop. Pretty good. Already got the blocks. Now I can Dragonstorm Forecaster into our other Boulderborn. Alright, yeah, they scoop them up. They know we can Forecaster into another Boulderborn, get another 5/5 Vigilance. They are over, and we are 1-0 heading into game number 2. So, somewhat aggressive Jeskai deck there. Not really. At least their hand didn't play out super well. I kind of like our deck the way it's already set up here. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if there's anything crazy to play around, really. To keep track of in, like, a notepad or anything. I'm just going to run it back. I had absolutely no problem with how anything in the deck will play out in this matchup. Maybe Country Severance. Saw one card with mana value. 4 or greater? Oh, it does 3 or greater. So it can hit the Grappler. It can hit the Narset. Yeah, no, I'm just going to run it back here. Here we are now on the draw for game number 2. This is a very reactive hand that isn't doing anything of its own, but that's kind of what we want to be doing in the early turns, just surviving till we hit our good stuff. The mana's a little bit awkward here. This is a 5-mana Country Severance, but I have 3 spells to play before that anyway. Kinguard, oh. This is our opponent's game where they get to be on the play here, so they get to resolve their 2-drop through our Dispelling Exhales. Luckily with the rebuff as well, since they didn't make the token, I can just completely slow them down with the bounce, instead of like just killing a 1-1 alternatively. Now I've got the black source for Severance, so that's just going to be 4 mana if they resolve a good threat this turn that's too expensive. I can exile it. Not exile that, but I can exhale it. And that's kind of our best way to deal with that, since it would be 2 different creatures if it resolves on the board. Setting exhale for stuff with good enter effects, I think. Exiling the Vanguard. Shoot. If we don't hit red quick, we're going to have a big problem. And now we are running out of stuff. I'm letting that resolve because I have multiple exhales to kill that. Multiple molten exhales to kill that. Okay, Boulderborn Dragon is not terrible when we have a Roiling Dragonstorm on the board now to bounce with it. Plus, even the 3/3 body's already relevant. I'm under too much pressure to hold on to this Dispelling Exhale any longer. I don't have the mana to play 2 spells here. I could Devotee plus rebuff, I guess. It's the only way I could double spell. Set up for a future block that way and take 2 instead of 4. Doesn't seem horrific, especially considering we haven't made our opponent cast any removal at all yet. So I think if I just fully tap out for a Boulderborn Dragon, they're likely to just kill it, and then I take 4. Alright, we saw Molten Exhale from them before. Coordinated Maneuver. Coordinated Maneuver only blows up enchantments, though, weirdly. Not artifact or enchantment. Oh no, the mana's gonna kill us. That is an absolute tragedy. Any land this turn would have been really good, because then I can at least Dragonstorm. But obviously hitting another red spell is deadly. Just completely uncastable. Alright, well here comes double removal if they're maneuvering the Devotee instead of the Boulderborn. Yep. Down to 1. Dragonstorm Globe is too late. I can only blow up one card this turn. It's 1-1. Alright, game 3, really importantly, we're going to be on the play here. Double check the red sources here. I think we have it about as good as we can. I mean, we drew every single mono red card in the whole deck. So we drew all but one of our red cards that game, but none of our red sources. Yeah, there's only 4 total cards in the deck that need red mana, and there are 7 ways to get it. It's not perfect. Not perfect, but I don't think we really adjust it any farther because there's so much blue in here. I can't not have these 8 blue sources. I could maybe go lower on green. Drop a green for another red. Ditch the Sultai Devotee here. Run a Veteran Ice Climber or Teamer Devotee instead. These are fine early blockers against their like Kingguard and stuff. Yeah, maybe this is how I should have had the deck in the first place. One more red source plus Devotee for another red source. And then the green cards, it's down to only 3. Fangkeeper's Familiar, Death Begets Life, and Songcrafter Mage. This is probably how I should have had it in the first place, but it is how I'm going to run it. Now we will call it a deck here, hop back into the gameplay. Hopefully that play draw differential helps us out this time as we head into game number 3 on the play. Aye. Not like this, Arena. That's a forced mulligan for any deck. It's a 1-lander. If I draw any land, though, a Teamer Monument, then I have 3. Then I have Forecaster and a Globes and stuff. Oh, so risky. When the only way that we lose here is if they get to curve out and pressure us a lot early. And missing any land drops at all gives them all the time in the world to pressure us. I can't keep that. I can keep this. I immediately shuffle, so this isn't going to be on the bottom anymore. Double mulligan from opponent, that's nice. Four lands in the hand. I'm not under any rush to get the Teamer Monument down, so I'll wait till turn 4 so that I can have Exhale up every single turn. Take 2, go to 19 here. I guess we Monument turn 5 so that I can Devotee turn 4. Hold these 1/2s off. Looking nice and stable right now. Shuts off my Monument. If they have removal for the dragon, that's going to be way too big of an issue if it resolves. Like if I cast dragon and they just Molten Exhale my dragon, keep getting beat down with a Conqueror and I can't make my Mammoth. Really bad. I don't need to start hitting them right now, I really just need defenses. I'm gonna crack this Monument. If I could crack it at instant speed, I'd just hold up Denial, but I can't. we've got the blocker for that coming up. Or that. Now I can just exile it and still have Spectral Denial up. Spectral Denial for X equals 4. Probably not enough to matter super well, but we'll see. Oh, it's X equals 3, actually. Just exactly enough to not matter against Narset. If I want to have Severance up here. So I guess I take the 3 from Dawnbreaker. With 2 relevant spells. Combat Trick this Shock Brigade. Oh, wow. Yeah, Static Snare 2 for the Elephant. Yeah, that's pretty gross. Alright. Down to 14. Hello, Molten Exhale. Exactly not enough mana for that to be great here. To be able to, like, play my Dragon and Exhale theirs. I can Severance their Dawnbreaker and still have Molten Exhale for the Shock Brigade. Then they're completely playing off the top versus me having this Dragon. That feels right. Now they have no damage coming in. So we're completely stable in the top deck war here. With a deck that theoretically has better late game. And already has a better board state with a 4/4 flyer. Rebuff is good. Alright, well. That's a pretty good one for one of their first 2 draws here. I do have the mana to instantly recast, so I will do that. Pretty sick work from Rebuff. Zergo's Vanguard, that is terrifying. Oh lord, one of the greatest rares in the whole set. Hey, look who it is! One of the greatest rares in the whole set! 2 can play in that game, friend. Yeah, alright. That was kind of a quick concession, but I will take it. They played the strongest white rare in the set, and I was like, alright, I'll play the strongest blue rare in the set. That was a wild top deck war, just us both drawing rares immediately. Absurd. Their 3 draws were Fresh Start, Zergo's Vanguard, Sage of the Skies. Pretty sick. And then ours was Land Rebuff Regent. Insane stuff. Insane quality draws in the end of that game. We are now 1-0 heading into round 2. Here we are on the play for game 1 of round 2 with a really excellent opening hand. That is a Snap Keep. We have an early counterspell, an early bounce spell, card selection with Appraiser, fixing with Devotee, and Dragonstorm Globe. Everything in the hand costs 3 or less. So it's one of the most keepable 2-landers this deck is capable of. I'm just going to play to the board here since we're on the play and get this Devotee down. We are against Boros. This will be a scary matchup for sure, but the Appraiser and Devotee being in the opening hand is very helpful. Devotee does absolutely nothing on blocks here, seeing as the Bear of Glory has first strike during their turn, so we will send it in and get the Appraiser down, find Temur Monument or the land, naturally. Monument could be awkward here, because I can't Monument plus Globe in the same turn. But I like that Monument gives me the land as well as a big blocker soon enough. We're back down to 19. I can play the Monument and an Exhale or a Rebuff, depending on what they do. Another Bear of Glory. Forecaster. Could play the Globe and the Forecaster, which is cute. I get to block one of the bears without taking damage. But then I miss my land drop for the turn. They're stuck on 2 lands here. I don't mind Monument hold up the Exhale. I've got my 4th mana. Then I have Songcrafter Mage for Exhale the turn after that. That seems pretty dang rude. I guess it depends if I draw land here, but if I do draw land, then I have Songcrafter for Exhale next turn, which should be fantastic. Again, our blocks are miserable right now because of the first strike. Even if I hold both of these up, if I double block one of them, I just lose my whole board. Counter that, keep them from drawing another land here. Now I've got Songcrafter. Songcrafter Exhale on their next play. Just the absolute rudest game of Magic possible. We're actually Temur Tempo Beatdown because our opponent can't draw lands. Seven damage on board. Okay, they're not dead yet. But I don't see how they live another turn. Unless they somehow find 11 damage here through a Mammoth. They have found their 4th mana now. Coordinated maneuver the Songcrafter Mage. Find the Molten Exhale. That's lethal on board. Alright. Say rebuff alone already presents lethal, so we'll just do that here. I forgot to edit the deck between rounds to make the base deck better mana, which is drop a forest, add a mountain, drop a Sultai Devotee, add a Temur Devotee. I forgot to do that all. But I think there's more adjustments to be made here. I highly doubt any other game this round is going to be a game where we're on the aggressive. But our opponent stumbling on mana there did kind of dictate the way we wanted to play that game. That was really weird stuff, but I'm really happy that I decided to just play all to the board there and try to outrace them while they were stuck on mana. Never would have expected this deck would ever outrace Boros, but when they're that locked on mana, it helps a lot. I do want to play the Ice Climber here. We saw multiple 2-mana, 2/1 first strikers here. The 1/3 and the 3/3 body are good roadblocks against 2/1s, so I like having both of those in here now. We do have to cut something to fit them both in. The Serpents are not bad either. The Snowmelt Stag is probably also okay, but I don't have infinite room to swap things out. What I know for sure is great is Temur Devotee and Veteran Ice Climber. Is there anything that looks really awful here? Fangkeeper's Familiar does not look particularly good, but 3/3, gain 3, surveil 3 is already not the worst against an aggressive deck, and if they do run any of the enchantment-based white removal spells, it'll actually be really good, because then you flash this in and surprise, I have another creature you weren't expecting. Spectral Denial might be a little expensive, just keep the Dispelling Exhales instead. So cut the Denial for the Ice Climber, cut the Sultai Devotee for the Temur Devotee. And this deck plays a little bit more early defense this way. Looks decent to me. I could also see cutting like the Durgar Island Dragon for another earlier creature. But this looks fine by me. We'll call it a deck here, hop back into the game. See how this does. Game number 2 of round 2. We're on the draw here. This is a risky hand in this matchup, but I can counter one of their early threats, tap another to draw a card, get to the 4 mana, draw 3, discard 1, counter something else with Songcrafter. I think I have enough card draw here to gamble on it, but we haven't really gotten to see how good their deck is at playing the aggro when it's not stuck on mana. We could get just steamrolled with this hand. So I could definitely see a mulligan being justified. But I'm going to go for the keep here. I mean, if we make it to 6 mana, this card stabilizes us if I don't end up having to use the draw spell on it. Okay, so far so good on that. Let's go counterspell first, then tap draw. I picked wrong. Should have been on tap draw first. Because they didn't even have a spell to cast. Well, now they'll have 4 mana. The odds of them not having a spell to cast here are incredibly low. And if they just pass through, that's fine too, because if they have a spell and they're playing around the counterspell, that means putting less pressure on us. So I don't mind. I wish I had double blue here. I really want to be able to rebuff and hold up exhale. Do I do that badly enough to draw the card here, trying to get to another blue? I think I do. They've got their own counterspell over there. Turns out they were Jeskai the whole time, by the way. They're not just pure Boros aggro. This game, they're stuck off the red. Speaking of the red, there's the Molten Exhale for the Bearer of Glory. And I do not mind that at all. Especially with the Songcrafter to recast it next turn. Yeah, this is insane value. A lot of 2-for-1s. You're just going to draw a card here. You can draw a card. This time they're digging for the red instead of the blue like they were game 1. They did find it, but it's a tapped red source. Alright, luckily their hand looks just as slow as ours so far. 1 land draw away from Regent going insane. Tons of interaction here. Very, very happy with our current position. Jeskai Devotee gives them great fixing here. Double Devotee. Sure. Songcrafter, well... Can Songcrafter rebuke one right now, but only if I reveal the Regent. Regent is still insane, even if I reveal it. No Regent mana this turn. Fine. I'll just beat down with regular creatures again. I just Regent back my Songcrafter to flashback something again for value. I don't need Regent to bounce 2 of their cards for it to be good. I mean, it's going to be a 7/8 flyer, even with no Enters effect, thanks to our Dragonstorm Globe. Storm Shriek Feral. Sure, I'll just bounce that. That's fine. Fangkeeper's familiar, though. Now I kind of want to just bounce it with Rebuff. Oh, I guess I actually don't have the mana for familiar. Because I don't have enough blue here. Okay, yeah, that was wrong. I should have just resolved Regent. I can't cast anything and hold up Fangkeeper's Familiar. If they cast a good creature, I play Fangkeeper's Familiar. If they don't, I gain 3, Surveil 3. And I have lethal in 2 swings. We have one of the most obnoxious decks. But that's kind of what a lot of the best decks in this format look like, honestly. 4 or 5 color counterspell piles of goop. Alright, they're dead in 2 swings. I've got a backup River Regent and a backup board wipe with Death Begets Life. If they somehow get a solid enough board for us to be particularly worried. Which I'm currently really not. Yeah, Boulderborn Dragon is enough to lethal next turn. We hit for 7 on board and then the final 2 with Dragonfire. So we keep forcing their interaction on our weaker cards than Regent. I don't think there's a Jeskai board wipe. But, again, I see no reason to really overcommit here. I don't think there's a lot they could do about the current board already. Okay, well, they're not quite dead, because I can't afford Dragonfire after doing this. But I can Dragonfire them next turn now. Whatever happens. Oh, no, I can, because of Vigilance. I can afford it. Nice. Alright. Revealed Meringue River Regent and never cast it. It feels pretty BM, but I think it was fair to just hold on to it for a rainy day there, because we were already really far ahead doing everything else, so. Worked out fine for us. We are 2-0 heading into the final round. Not undefeated. We did lose 1 game in our first round, but in terms of the actual round-by-round record, that is undefeated so far, which means we are competing for the potential max prize out here, which is pretty huge if we can win this next round at 2,500 gems, 6 packs, and 2 play-in points. So we will see how this draft wraps up as we head into that final battle. All right, here we are on the play for game 1. I'm going to Spectral Denial their first spell and pray here, because the mana is really nice for anything we draw. Are we against all Boros all day? It's actually been Jeskai twice in a row, too. Boros splash blue each time. Be pretty wild. Alright, this hand is shaping up pretty well. We've drawn 2 non-lands in a row. They will be relevant once our opponent starts casting spells. Literally a Jeskai thrice in a row. It's pretty cute. Just play a 5/5 flying ward 2 next turn, probably. I've got the Severance for their next scary threat. Ooh. I don't think I can really spend this turn on the dragon, because if they just prowess with like a single, like the +3/+0 trick, that is just absolutely devastating. They hit me for, what, that'd be 5 naturally, +1 plus prowess, 6, so 12 damage. They hit the +3/+0 trick with that. That would not be good. Naga Fleshcrafter. Ah, it's frustrating because now I can't really play this dragon. But then now they get to just play another Equilibrium Adept? Okay, now I can play this dragon. No, I'm 1 mana off? Yeah, I need 8 mana to dragon hold up Dispelling Exhale. God dang it. Yeah, the Equilibrium Adept loop here is going to be gross. Furious Forebear. It's not as bad as another Equilibrium Adept, so I will counter the other Equilibrium Adept. Take 4 from the Double Strike, because I still think I want to cast this dragon. And that ability in the graveyard is kind of scary. Make all their creatures a copy of their best creature till end of turn. So if they just resolve like one big dragon, huge deal. Alright, we're completely playing off the top at this point, which is not ideal. But hey. Oof, Battle Priest. Chunk up the board slowly. Speaking of chunking up the board, here's a Teamer Monument. $15 over there, $17 over here. If they flurry with this adept, I have to chump block. Because I get to put another counter with the priest to make sure it has 6 toughness. And it would be basically 8 power off of Double Strike. Alright, well, we're going to get Combat Tricked then. If they have double Combat Trick, we could just randomly die to them flurrying. They wouldn't make this attack without at least 1 Combat Trick, so might as well block to where we can't randomly die. Although is Fleshcrafter's ability instant speed? No, thank goodness. Okay, they're not going to cast anything. Just going to let them bounce off each other and save that trick for later. Oh, it's Twin Bolt. Face and Dragon. Is this double Twin Bolt or something? What is going on? I'm confused why they would face instead of killing the mammoth. Something weirdly specific, I guess. What? What on earth just happened? I'm confused. Okay, I can't attack here because I die to Flurry if I do. 8, 9, 10, 11. They put a counter on that, so that's 5 power Double Strike. Plus the Fleshcrafter could be another, this is like 1,000,000 damage Double Strike. So like if they kill this mammoth, I'm dead. So I need to hold it up and hold the exhale to keep it as a blocker. red, red, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could Dragonfire their face and still have Exhale up. I don't think that's worth it though, because their life total is divisible by 5 right now, so we kill them in 2 swings either way. The extra 2 damage doesn't change the clock at all. Maybe we're about to find out what that Twin Bolt was about. Well, no, I highly doubt it, because even if it was like something specific where they needed us at 13 life or something, they needed to damage us a little more, why wouldn't they just shoot us for 2 instead of 1 to dragon, 1 to face? It must have been a misclick. They must have meant to click on the mammoth in our face or something. That was really weird. Or they actually do... Oh god, that's terrifying if they flurry. I was gonna say, or they actually do have the Molten Exhale, but they didn't realize they'd have to pay for ward twice there. That life gain is so relevant here. But if I counter this, and then they just have like Stormplane Attainment to kill my mammoth, I die right on the spot. But the way they played out last turn makes it feel like a Molten Rebuke or something instead of a Detainment. Could lose for this, but we'll see. If they have something that can kill the mammoth. I don't really think we have a shot at winning through the gain 2 every turn. The gain 2 lose 2, it's the drain for 2 every turn. Oh, so yeah, they're going to pay the 4 and resolve it, so we know they're not flurrying this turn then. If we hit a Rennie's rebuff, we win, if they attack with 1 creature this turn. So that's the hope. Come on, Rennie's rebuff, baby. Meringue River Regent also does it. Yeah, this deck is mommy. Rebuff, River Regent, and Death Begets Life would all basically win. Songcrafter Mage would be incredible. Pretty loaded here with good draws, potentially. At least like 5 that are almost insta-wins. Land would be insanely bad, though, because we are behind on board. So if I am not actively drawing spells, I'm not progressing this game in any way remotely profitably. River Regent, River Regent, River Regent. No! Not like this. Well, that's super bad. I'm dead to a whole lot of stuff here. I think our only real line here is attack with dragon, hope they don't quite find lethal, because if I attack with dragon plus dragon fire their face, I have them dead next turn if they don't kill dragon. And if they had removal, they would just kill the mammoth and kill me anyway. If I sit here and don't attack them at all, then I'm just forced into trumps against Adept next turn anyway. They're draining me for life. They can also buff stuff up with the Fleshcrafter. So they could go like... Good god, they could do a lot of nasty stuff. They could Fleshcrafter up the Stalwart and make their whole board Stalwarts and then double spell. It'd be really, really hard to live. Yeah, things are kind of awful for me here. Because they're pretty likely to kill me whether or not I leave the dragon untapped. But if I leave the dragon untapped, I'm just trying to draw something very, very specific. One of those like 4 insta-win cards. Otherwise, I definitely lose if I just hit more like 2-1s on the ground and stuff. Like a Sig Appraiser or something. But this way, there's no draw I specifically need to get. All we need is for them to not find lethal this turn, and we can have a chance of winning here. So it feels slightly more likely. Again, it's really risky, but so is sitting here and trying to draw my 1 in 5 chance of bombing them out. This way, I'm trying to go for my 1 in 5 chance of them not killing me this turn. We're like 80% likely to die right now. We'll see what happens. Combat, counter on the Adept, and they pass the turn. We flood out here, but we pray they do not have removal for Dragon. We're flooded out here, so either way we play it is a losing game if they do have removal for this Dragon. Alright, we get the damage in, and that is 1-0 in our final round. We're only 1 win away from maximum prize out on this traditional draft. Jeskai all day long, you say. They've got 2 mana 3/1s, 3 mana 2/3s that buff up over time, the 3/3 that rips life from us. It does look like Boros Splash Blue again, so certainly another matchup. Again, I think I didn't build this deck right. I think it should have been 1 less green, 1 more red, Devotee from the start. Teamer Devotee over Sultai Devotee for better mana for the early removal. Because we do, despite these still being useful later in the game, like turn 4, turn 5 and stuff, they are really important to have very early against more aggressive decks still. And I didn't take that into account as much as I should have. So we should have been deeper to red in the mana base than green with the Sultai Devotee. So there's that. But we didn't actually see a bunch of 2/1s this time. We saw a 3/1, which the Ice Climbers would just trade with. A 2/3, the Ice Climbers would bounce off of that. I think Teamer Devotee is still really solid here because it fixes towards red, plus it can trade into Stalwart. Block Practitioner if they don't flurry. The Forebear is awkward. The Forebear is not great for us. I don't think the Ice Climber actually lines up that well here. I really don't mind the Spectral Denial. I think I'm okay to keep it over the Ice Climber. Could maybe play like an Ice Ridge Serpent over Spectral Denial. It seemed like a pretty good matchup for that. They've got good like 5 mana creatures. Well, they had 1 really good 5 mana creature. This is a 4 mana creature. That could be a good one to bounce if they don't have enter effects, but I don't really want to bounce Equilibrium up too much. The only reason it would have been good to bounce it here is because they put counters on it. Yeah, I'm just going to go for that 1-for-1 trade there. Sultai Devotee for Teamer Devotee. Call it a deck there. Hop into game number 2 of the final battle. Alright, our opponent completely timed out in game number 2, giving us a free win for our 3rd round. A little bit anticlimactic, but still think this deck was certainly capable of it. Really, really powerful draft pod here. Very self-explanatory deck and archetype here. It is a super, super popular, super powerful one in this format. You just want to take incredibly powerful rares and mythics in any colors you can get to off of the fixing, and there is certainly enough fixing to do it in 4 or 5 colors like this deck is doing. Pretty happy with our early Globe. We did manage to get that Forecaster late, so that panned out really well. Getting those cards together, as well as that Boulderborn Dragon we picked up late in Pack 1. That played a lot better since we had the Forecaster with it as well. So that was pretty sick. Obviously very lucky to start with the Famekeeper's Familiar and immediately get another Sultai rare. Super lucky to open up Meringue River Regent. Yeah, I mean, everything just panned out really, really well in this draft pod. Basically everything that I speculated on played out well. You know, speculate on the Teamer Monument being able to fix towards red, and then do find good red cards to splash in. That was how we got all of our removal into the deck, as well as this Songcrafter Mage that played better than I thought it would. So I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, honestly, I don't think anything at all really went wrong during the draft. I think the biggest learning moment here, and there's usually not a lot of those when you get a full undefeated run like we did here. But I do think the biggest learning moment was making the mana base even more consistent here. I think I was just by default in my head thinking that you're always base green and 4 and 5 color for some reason, when I know that that's not the case. I've played many other base blue 4 or 5 color decks like this. But I think giving the green a higher quantity of sources than the red was just 100% incorrect for this deck. The only reason was because I had like an early green spell, but it's like, okay, well, cut the early green spell then so we can hit the red spells more often, because the early red spells are really, really important at defending ourselves. So again, drop the Sultai Devotee, drop a forest, add a mountain, and add a Teamer Devotee instead. That way our early mana fixer is on color to our most well-represented color, which is blue, as well as our early mana fixer being able to hit that red for the early removal. I think that was really the one major adjustment that I would do in the future. But outside of that, really, really excellent run all around. We'll grab our 2,500 gems, 2 play-in points, and 6 packs of Tarkir Dragonstorm as our prize out today. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in the recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel, link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. And other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.